Okay, here we've got a question on describe the formation of a waterfall. And again, it doesn't say use a diagram, but more than any in rivers, I would urge you with waterfalls to draw a diagram. They're really difficult to describe without using one. And it's a really simple diagram. They're very similar, as you can see here. I've drawn three of them. And the top tip, as always, as I say with formation, is logical sequence. So start with your first picture, describe the second picture, describe the third picture or fourth, however many you've described. I've got the keywords over there, so have a look as we go through. I've included most of those. So the first point to make, waterfalls occur mainly in the upper course of the river and created when there is an increase in vertical erosion. So vertical is downwards like that, up and down. And you might want to include, I haven't included here, but you may want to include the fact that that's through hydraulic action or abrasion. Only very, very briefly describe those. So you might want to say something like abrasion where rocks are wearing away the base of the river, just as simply as that. You don't want to go into lots and lots of details because it's a simple 4-mark question. We then go on to say that it occurs when we've got this hard rock that overlays the softer, less resistant rock. And again, I've labelled those, you can see. It makes it really clear to the examiner you know where the hard rock and the soft rock is. Even though you haven't said that in the answer, they can see it from the diagram and you've put overlaying it, so it's really clear and you pick up marks for that. As the river erodes vertically down, a plunge pool is created. And again, trying to describe where a plunge pool is or what it looks like without a diagram is really difficult. But I've drawn it on to diagram 2, which makes it really clear for the examiner to see. And as it says, over time, undercutting of the hard rock occurs. Now, I've left that off. It might be currently with the diagrams I've got here, it would be really difficult to know whether you know where that is. So what I would do is draw a diagram and simply just by simply labeling that, it shows the examiner that you know where undercutting occurs and what it actually means. So you can see how vital a diagram is. Process continues. The overhanging cap rock becomes unstable and falls into the plunge pool. You could again label that if you wanted to. You wouldn't necessarily need to on this because you've already labelled the cap rock, but it's showing that instability. And if we go on, the process continues, a gorge will be formed. And just so I've put a couple of diagrams down here because a number of students kind of try and get their head around actually what this really looks like in the real world. And you can see from the bottom left, this is the gorge. And this is over the last sort of 300 years. You can see it's kind of eroding backwards here. The front part of the waterfall used to be there and it's eroded back. And that's essentially because all of these cap rocks where the dotted lines are on there will have actually fallen into the waterfall. And just to illustrate on the diagram on here, you can see we've got some hard resistant rock. It's not perfectly nice like in the diagram above, but that's kind of because it's the real world. And you can see below this here is the softer rock, either side of where the waterfall goes and the river goes underneath, and that's kind of been eroded backwards here. So we've got the softer rock underneath and we've got the harder overlying cap rock at the top, which hasn't been eroded away.